This is their book that they're going to show you and talk about today. This is my copy. And it says in their little dedication, it says, this book is dedicated to our families who make us whole and make our dreams possible, and to our best friends, our readers, which I like. So I'm going to introduce you to my best friends here, Zach Bolger and Garrett Robinson.
Thank you very much. Hey guys.
Hey.
How many of you were not here last time I came and talked? Okay, so a couple, a few, a handful. Last time I talked to you guys about being artists and being an artist in your field. And I'm going to go into a couple other things, but what I want to do first is I want to find out first kind of what you guys want to do after you break out of this place. Like after school. Can anybody give me an example of something that you want to do? Yeah.
I want to be a musician.
Musician, awesome. Who else? Yeah.
Music and writing.
Music and writing. What kind of writing?
Lyrics, short stories.
Cool, awesome. Anybody else? Yeah.
I want to be a singer and an actress.
Very cool, singer and actress. It doesn't have to be in the arts. If you want to be a lawyer or a police officer, I remember those from last time I was here. Come on. Yeah.
Dermatologist.
Dermatologist, awesome, yeah. Yep.
Lawyer.
Lawyer, fantastic. Anybody else? Okay, so, oh, you had your hand up, yes.
Professional dancer.
Professional dancer, very cool. Okay, so all of those things, and really any job that you can think of, you have to really be in that job. If that's what you want to do, that's what you're going to do. If you're going to be a lawyer or a dancer or a musician, or a dermatologist, to create those jobs, you need to, there are several different things, but three of the points that I'm going to talk over today are inspiration, creativity, and teamwork. Okay? So the first one is inspiration. And inspiration, though it might seem like someone goes, inspiration, a lot of people will go, oh, well, what inspires me to paint, What inspires me to dance, But what inspires you to, to have a good court case, What inspires you to be a great dermatologist? Like that type of stuff you need to think with. Because not everybody's going to go into the arts. And by the arts, I mean the, painting and dancing and all that stuff. But you all will be doing something. And if you aren't, then, well, you should be. But to create it, and to look at the inspiration that goes into what you're doing and to really find what that is going to make it so much easier to do what you are doing at that point in time. Now, what you're doing might change over time. Okay, you might go to school to be a dermatologist, and 2 years in you might be like, I would much rather be a dentist. I'd much rather be a rocket scientist or whatever, But the inspiration should always be there, and you need to look at what really inspires you to push to get your goals. Okay? Because us as authors, for one, neither of us expected to be authors when we were younger. You wanted to be a director.
No, when I was 15.
When he was 15, you wanted to be an author.
It changed. That's what he's saying. It can
Yeah,
change.
it
Changes a
changes.
few times.
But the thing is that as it changes, find your inspiration, okay? For me, as an author and as, a storyteller, it's really interesting. I want to talk to you about how my inspiration works. I don't know if any of you have reality on this, but I'm going to try to explain it to you so you do. When I'm walking down the street, this is what happens. Say, have you ever walked down the street and you see somebody scratched something into the wet cement and now it's set?
Yeah.
Okay. When I see something like that, especially if it has a date on it, I automatically jump back to that date in my mind and try to picture who did that and what was happening at that time. Was it raining? Was it sunny? Was it nighttime? What kind of cars were on the road at that time period? Okay, and then I create this character in my head who's making a love letter to his girlfriend or whatever in the cement, and then I start building on his life. Who are his parents like? What are his friends like? What does he do for a job? And I create this entire world, but it all comes down to a simple, a couple scratches in cement. If you look up at a plane, does anybody look up at a plane and automatically go, oh, that person's probably looking down at me right now? Have you ever done that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, it's the same thing. When I do that, I start creating, who is that person that's looking down at me? What kind of flight are they having? Did they have turbulence earlier? Were they really scared? Or they just, they had too much booze and they're kind of like, woo, those are the kinds of things that inspire me, because it creates what I do as an author. And it makes it so that I'm able to, my imagination is able to run wild and kind of create many different things, Yeah, and even just a little, twinkle in the sky at night, you go on a sci-fi rant, like aliens and, all this stuff. So what you want to do if you're, let's say, a lawyer, it's like, look at what inspires you. If what inspires you is, seeing families that are really happy that you were able to get the goal in mind, create on that. Look at and build that family in your head right now. Just think of it right now and think of what you want to be, what do you want that effect to be, okay? Now, I want to do a drill really fast. When everybody close their eyes, okay. Now, everybody here has some idea, kind of what they want to do later in life. Now, I want you to build on that idea. Find that thing that is going to make you so happy. If you're a dancer, maybe you're on stage, you just had the greatest dance of your life, and you have rose petals falling down on you, and people are clapping and everything. If you're a dentist, you have that guy that had the messed up grill, and now it's all like awesome, Really create on that for a second. Okay, did you do that? Okay, cool. So how does that feel like when you see that in your head?
It's pretty cool.
Pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
Good. So that is your goal. That's what you want to get to. And that can be inspirational. Okay, so if you use that inspiration to move along in what you're doing, especially while you're at school, and you go, I want to get to this goal, and to do that I have to do, A, B, and C. Do A, B, and C to your fullest. Because if you slack on one of them, that goal is not going to be as good. It still could be so awesome. It's not going to be as good because it could have been just a tiny bit better. So really push for your getting those, that A, B, and C in what you're doing in school. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. The next thing I want to talk to you about is creativity. Creativity is just really creating what you're doing. Okay? If you want to be a dancer, create it. Work on it every night. Even if you're really bad, you should see me dance. It's horrible. Okay? It's really, I could not be a dancer. I could be a dancer, but I wouldn't be a very good dancer. But I could create it. I could go home every night and just dance, And you'd see a lot of this going on, but I would still be creating it. Okay, so whatever you want to do in life, create it, because the more you create it, the greater it will be once you get there. Or it will also help you get there. There are YouTube videos, I don't know if you've seen these. There is a woman that took 1 year to teach herself how to dance. And she videoed herself, I think, every week. And the first video is really funny. It's first like 10 seconds or whatever, and it's a lot like how I dance, which I'm not even going to show you right now, but it wasn't that great. It was awesome that she was creating on it, and she was putting herself out there, and I give her props, But when you put it up to a dancer, you go, okay, some of that dance like that wouldn't necessarily be hired by a dance company. But then it's every 10 seconds, I think, is cut for every week. And you see the progression as she gets better, and she's like, popping, locking in, and all this like awesome like dubstep, whatever the stuff. I don't know too much about dance, but by the end of the video, she's awesome. Like, I would go and watch other videos of her dancing. Like, that's how awesome she is. Wow. And she created that because she didn't even want to be a dancer, she wanted to be able to dance. That make sense?
Yeah.
And then the third one was teamwork. And the reason why I picked teamwork was because it came a lot, that's a lot to do with our book, which is called Midrealm. To give you a little backstory on this is, who's read this book? Danny Calloway, really, really good book. Great author. That's my book for whoever wasn't here last time.
Well edited.
Very well edited. Yeah, he did the editing. This is 76,000 words. Now, do you guys do 8 units in high school? Okay. How much was a unit of writing before? Like, just to give like.
Depends what level you were on, what reading you were on.
250 to 500.
Okay, 250 to 500. Okay, so this is 76,000 words. Okay. Now, 76,000, to me, this was my first book, and that is the size of the first Harry Potter novel. I was hoping to find a Harry Potter novel. Raise your hand if you've read Harry Potter. Good, just the first one, you have to read the first one. So that is 77,000, so that's about the size of this book, okay? And I wrote this in over many, many months and even years, doing all these different corrections, 76,000 words. This, for one, you can see it's larger, right? Right, larger?
Yeah.
That's because we couldn't fit it all into the pages, the page count that we had for our printer. Now, oh, awesome.
Aha.
This is 77,000. So they're basically the same size, right? So this is larger book, and if you look inside, you see how tiny the print is?
Yeah.
It's 11-point print.
It's not that tiny.
It's tiny for me. I like large print books. This is 12 point, so it's one point down from these other books. Same with Harry Potter is 12 point as well. It's 11 point because we need more space to fit into the page count for our printer. This is 230,000 words. We wrote this in 7 weeks. And
Finale.
well, not the finale, but the people that have read it and have been, giving us reviews online, some of them are saying it's the greatest book I've read all year. I'm not tooting my own horn, I just think that's awesome. Because especially, it's 7 weeks, right? And I want to just give you, I'm going to give you a quick overview of how we did this book before I get into teamwork, which is basically this book. Garrett came to me and he was like, I have an idea for a book. And he said, I have an idea where people go to sleep on Earth and they wake up in a different world. But when they go to sleep in that world, they wake up back on Earth. And it just continues. I was like, wow, that's a pretty interesting idea. So then we started building on it. I had always wanted to do a teenage superhero kind of story. And especially, have any of you guys seen The Last Airbender? That cartoon? That cartoon's awesome. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Don't do your homework, go watch Airbender. No, don't do that. But I wanted students that could, I wanted characters, teenage characters that could bend the elements. I wanted somebody that could, just look at Earth and make a boulder shoot out of it, and I want somebody else to be able to shoot a tornado out of their hands. Like that type of stuff. Now that comes off of my creativity. That's me going, wow, this would be awesome, and I'm able to picture it. And so then we started building on it. We made 6 characters, but then we wanted to make them completely different from one another so that our readers can really connect with at least one. We have the bad boy. His name's Blade. That's how bad boy he is. Okay? He's like an 18-year-old smoker. He's like, no one messes with me kind of guy. We have the nerd. 13-year-old, he's advanced, and he is basically Garrett when he was 13. We have Sarah is the main, the leader of the group, and Sarah is she's the goody two-shoes almost, but she's more than that. She's a leader. Okay, we have Raven, the goth chick. Okay. And she's awesome, honestly. I didn't think I was going to like her very much. She's one of my favorite characters. We have Tess. She's Hispanic and she's introverted. She does not talk. She just has hair over one eye and kind of just walks down, the hallways like this, and she kind of does. Hi. That's Tess. Another, probably my favorite character of the entire book, which I did not expect. But these characters, oh, and then we have Miles, tall, athletic, black kid who's like going into college for a running scholarship, just awesome. Okay, so we have this set of characters so that we could have people connect with any of them. And what we did was we wrote a book of 20,000 words from Sarah's point of view, and it introduces our characters. And then the next book that we released was from Calvin's point of view. It's not the same story. It's continuing the story. It's not the same thing that you read in Sarah's. And it continues. And then it's from Raven's point of view. And it continues, and you start learning about this place that they went into, this world of magic and medieval times and knights and darkness and chaos that's trying to take over this world. And they're thrown into this world where there's the bad guy is called Chaos, basically. Okay, that's your antagonist. They're there, and they need this, like, it's basically just shadows. It's like black smoke that's trying to overrun Midrealm, which is this new world that they've been thrust into. And these kids have now been given the powers, one of each element, and they've become what's known as the Realm Keepers. And they are there to protect this world, because if it is overrun by chaos, it's going to spill over into Earth, and everybody on Earth is going to die as well. And these kids, nobody's younger than 18. I mean, nobody's older than 18. So 13 to 18 is what these kids are. And you have to, like, just think of it. If right now, if you were thrown into a position where you were fighting not just for your life, but for the life of the world, two worlds actually, that's pretty heavy stuff, right?
Yeah.
Now, how many of you guys would be like, oh, this is so awesome? Exactly. You guys would be Calvins. You guys would be the nerds, which is totally fine. Nerds are awesome, just so you know. But that's totally the Calvins. But that's the thing. Each of the characters find this experience, and you learn what they think about it and how they have to deal with it. Miles, the athlete, he really needs to get into college, and he's like, he has to really study, and he doesn't really want to be there. He feels like it's a waste of his time. So he has to overcome that kind of stuff. Raven, the goth, she's just like, oh, whatever, but she has to overcome that. Okay, so anyway, so that's basically the book. I want to give that to you. Now, again, 230,000 words, 7 weeks. And we did them in sections. We released it in sections, and this is everything together. So it goes different point of view for each of the sections in this book. And then the finale, which is 70,000 words in itself, each chapter switches point of view. So you'll have one from Sarah, and then from Tess, and then from all this stuff. The only way that we were able to do that, which I'm just telling you right now, is like nuts. You tell people that you wrote a 230 word book in 7 weeks, they go crazy. The only way we were able to do that is from teamwork. That's the only way. Now, you can, as individuals, you can do great things. You can do incredible things. Every single person in here can do things that you probably don't even think you can do. You really can. Honestly, it's limitless if you just decide to do it. But when you have a good team behind you and you're like that, you can do even greater things. Because it's not just you, it's somebody else. And that other person is invested in what you're doing. And that's how it was for Garrett and myself. When I would go, hey, what about this idea? Why don't we take the characters in this direction? And he'd be like, well, I don't know if that would really work. I feel like we would go this way. And it'd make me rethink about it. Whereas before, I might have just written it that way, and it wouldn't have been as good. And we had a lot of that. We would go, oh, here's an idea, and then we bounce it off the other person, and then we tweak it a little bit, and we, swish it and pull it out and whatever. And we'd end up in a completely different direction, but it was the right direction. And that's what teamwork can do. It can take your creation, which is awesome. Because honestly, this book, by either one of us, by ourselves, it would still be really good. It wouldn't be as good. It would still be good, but not as good. And the reason why we're able to do that is teamwork. And so I want you to guys to really look at what you do at school, for one, because this is where you are right now. And teamwork totally plays into this. You know, you have soccer. I was on the soccer team out here. I was a team captain of the baseball team. I don't know if you have the baseball team anymore, but
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
okay. So I started the baseball team. I was the one who got it rolling again. Okay. But to do those things, you need to have teamwork. If you guys are in plays, I came to see Armis Brooks. Okay, I played coach in the Armis Brooks right before that one. Like, I have complete reality with what you guys are going through. Literally, I was in this room. I sat over there. Like, I was here. So I have reality on this. And when you take teamwork and you make it work, and you get everybody in your team to work together, it's going to make your product even greater than it would have been. Because Armis Brooks wouldn't have been as good if Natalie was kind of like a diva, you know? I know Natalie, so I can say that.
But I wasn't
I mean in real life. If she wasn't a team player, and she was just like all about herself, it wouldn't have been as good, you know? But I know Natalie, and she's not like that. At least she wasn't like that. I hope she hasn't changed. But that's the thing. So you guys get your teamwork in, and you guys move along in what you're doing, and really go for it, and really create on what you want to do. Keep your teamwork in, get inspired for what you want to do, and keep creativity in. And you guys could do anything. You could write a 230,000 word book in 7 weeks. That's amazing. Anyway, that's what I have to say for right now. I'm going to hand it over to Garrett.
So if you think about 10,000 hours, and if you think that, let's just say, compared to a full-time job, you're working 40 hours a week. Does anybody have enough math to be like, oh, it's this many weeks? No.
2,500.
Thank you. Did you use a calculator?
No,
Okay,
I
good.
think that's right.
So, no, 250. Yeah, 250. Okay, so 250 weeks of full-time work. And there's 52 weeks in a year. So you're looking at 5 years of work, of full-time work, 40 hours a week, before you could become a master at something. Now that's kind of like, geez, okay, that's a lot. It seems like a lot. I don't know what the general age level in the room is, but like, what? Probably 13 to 18? Is that about right?
12 to 18.
12 to 18? Okay. So if the 12-year-olds started working, then you can't do full-time because you got to go to school. But if the 12-year-olds started working now, theoretically, you could be a master, whatever it is, by the time you're 17 years old. And then you've got a Mozart. He was composing by the time he was 4. He was considered a master by the time he was 9. People look at the stuff that he composed when he was 9 and they're like, oh my gosh, he's a total master. The 18-year-olds in the room, if you start now, you'd be a master by the time you were 23. I'm 27. You'd have a massive head start on me because I'm not even there yet. I've been doing this less than a year, and and now full time. So the thing that I would recommend highly, highly is whatever you want to do. And if you don't have something that you want to do, pick something that seems kind of cool and roll with it and see if that's what you want to do. Because you will need a head start when you get out there in the world, because there are a lot of people out there, no matter what you want to do, who also want to do what you want to do. Unless you want to be a garbage man. If you really want to be a garbage man, you're probably set, because nobody else wants that job. And if you do, that's cool, because
Pays really well.
it actually does pay really well, which is sad. But it's because nobody wants to do it. But if you do want to be, in particular, if you want to be an artist, so many people want to be artists. We have wanted to be artists for a while. I wanted to, see, this is the thing with me. I wanted to write when I was 14, 15, and I wrote. Mike Beavenauer isn't here anymore, but he,
Oh, I remember him.
yeah? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. He was my supervisor, and he used to be like, Garrett, you have to do something besides writing. Like, stop writing. Because I was, 50 units ahead on my creative writing assignments because it was just like, study hall? Oh, okay, cool. He's like, you're 40 days behind on your targets. And I'm like, no, it's writing, study hall, I can do whatever I want. And he eventually convinced me to do other things. But then after that, I stopped doing that because I got out into the world and I got this job and I got that other job and it was all just sort of like, And then I ended up working on a film set and I really, really wanted to be film, and I actually still really, really do, and I still do. I'm directing a film tomorrow, but I did that, and then I got married and I started having kids and I stopped doing that too. And I just worked at a regular, ordinary job, but I always had this thing like, I'm going to go back to it. I'm going to go back to it at some point. And then almost a year ago, last December, I was just like, okay, like I like my job. I've never like worked at a place that was just horrible. Like, I've never worked at a job that I hated. But I wanted to get back towards doing what I wanted to do. So I started writing a lot. Apparently I'm told that I write pretty fast, and people always ask me how I learned to write really fast, and my answer will be really unpopular with the teachers, but it's from online video games, because I used to play all the time, and it's the only way to talk. When you're on your computer, you have to talk with people through chatting. Actually, that was back then. Now you can do it with the microphone and the headphones and everything. Don't do that.
Back before we had those.
Yeah, serious. So like, don't do that. Do it all with that. You'll learn how to write really, really fast. But now it's been less than a year, but now this is all I do. I don't have a regular job anymore. I just write. My morning is I wake up and I write. Actually, I wake up and I do my Facebook, and then I write. But I'm not even close to master level. Not even close. I read these books by these people that are just, I read Lord of the Rings once a year. Just go back, reread it, start to finish. It's my favorite book of all time. You look at that guy's writing, and you look at my writing, and I'm like, well, people like my stuff, but it's not very good compared to that. So I'm working towards that, and I'm 27. If I do reach my master level after those 4 years, after 4 more years, because it's been one, I'll be 31.
We're so old.
I know, right? I feel like I was in here, well, not here, but in the other classroom where I was sitting here. I feel like I was here a couple of years ago. It feels like no time at all has passed, and that's exactly like I'm not trying to get you depressed, but like that's exactly what's going to happen.
It's depressing.
I know. I'm trying to depress us. You guys should stay happy and carefree. But the later you start, the later it will take you to get to where you want to go with whatever it is you want to do. So if you do want to be a writer, man, write now, and don't just write and finish something and give it to other people and see what they think, because that's incredibly important. Until you've done something, it's easy to say that and we know lots of people like this, unfortunately, who, like they want to be writers, but they never write. They never sit down and write. I've got this great idea for a book, but they never write it. And I'm talking like they never even put words on the paper, but they're like, no, I'm gonna do it one day. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be fantastic. And it's really easy to say that for years and years and years, but you never get a book. This doesn't happen, You've got to get things done. You've got to figure out what like he was saying, what you want to have, right? What are the steps that lead up to that? And start working on those. If you want to be a lawyer, what do you need to do to be a lawyer? I have no idea. But, all right, go ahead. Oh yeah, by the way, I just wanted to say, I want to be very free form, so if you want to say anything, raise your hand, so go ahead.
I think you have to go to law school, like first of all, get a really good diploma.
Yes.
A really good school.
Yes.
Like this.
A law school. We're right. For a high school diploma, and then.
So then you can go to a prestigious law school.
Exactly.
Like Harvard or Yale.
Exactly.
For at least 4 years.
So you need so you work back from so you want to be a lawyer and you want to go to, let's say, Harvard Law School. Now to graduate from Harvard Law School, you have to get into Harvard Law School. what do you need to get into Harvard Law School? Diploma from here? Great. But there's a lot of people with a lot of diplomas from some really good schools. So what can you do to give yourself the advantage? What sort of program could you do outside of school, outside of normal school hours? Do you really know?
Yes.
Oh man, it's Calvin. Go ahead.
Boy Scouts.
Boy Scouts? Probably help. Anything like more lawyer specific?
I was gonna say like do an apprenticeship at a law office.
Boom, there you go. That's what I'm saying. You find a lawyer, somebody, you know, like somebody who's working as a paralegal or whatever, you apprentice with them.
Just to add this, you need like a 4-year bachelor's degree before getting into law school, so.
Yeah,
it's
so,
8 years.
boy, you can tell who went to college, who knows about college in this room, and it's not me. Because I was told, and I don't know that this is true at all, but I was told that, you know, for writers and filmmakers in particular, like, you know, college was not so good. And so I didn't, and so, and like now I'm where I'm at, and then I see all of these people that are writers and directors, and they went to college or they went to film school, and there they learned all these things and met all these people, and they're very good and successful, so I'm sort of like, thanks, whoever gave me that advice. But there's examples on both sides, so it's whatever. All right, so for being a lawyer, but man, I want to go back to the arts for a sec, not because other things are invalid, but because art is all I've ever wanted to do. Man, if you want to be an artist of any kind, you have never lived in a better time in human history. There's never been a better time to be an artist, because here's how the world used to work for us, and still does in some industries, but not in art anymore. I mean, it does, but you'll see what I'm saying. You used to have to work on your art and become as good as you could without anybody else's help. And then you used to have to go to these institutions, the book publishers, the film studios, the record labels, and you used to say, please give me money in order for me to keep making my art. And they would look it over and they would say, I like it, and I think I can sell it to these people, okay. And you would go in, and they would edit your book professionally, or they'd give you money to make your film, or put you in the right studio to record your music. But then they would own it, and they would sell it to people, and they'd give you a percentage. Now that still exists in the world. You probably are all reasonably aware of this. But that's not the only thing anymore. Now, we made this, the two of us. No other hands ever touched this. I designed this cover off of an idea that Zach had, which we then, you know, put together in Photoshop and did. I edited the book myself. Now, not everybody can do that. I will just say that right off the bat.
We talked about editors last time I was here, if you guys remember.
Right, exactly. An editor is somebody else who goes in and goes over and is like, your comma's in the wrong place. You spelled this word wrong. Da 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 da. I happen to have become really good at that while I was here. So I edited my own book. You're really good at that?
Nice job
What?
that you were able to do that.
Thank you. But
Yeah.
like I said, not a lot of, I'm not saying that it's not good to get some outside opinions sometimes. If you're a musician, has anybody heard of, he's this guy, he's this pop star, he's young.
Justin Bieber.
Justin Bieber, has anybody heard of him? Yeah. Anybody know who that guy is? Okay, right. But who knows how he got his start? So I'm sure somebody does. You can raise your hand.
Natalie knows.
Go ahead.
Scooter Braun found him on YouTube. And
Right.
started doing that.
Right. So he was on YouTube. He sat down. He got a camera, it was a terrible. I'm a filmmaker. It was a terrible camera. Bad microphone, bad audio recording. It was everything was about the production quality was terrible. But he sat down and he played this piano and he sang and like, man, I'm not gonna lie. I look at some of those early videos and I'm like, this kid's good. He is really good. Now what happened since then? Not even gonna talk about it. Who was it again?
Scooter Braun.
Scooter Braun. A weird name. Anyway, so they found him and they were like, hey kid, come into our studio and we want to give you all of the money in the world and you are going to make records and do concerts and become this person that I don't necessarily enjoy. But anyway.
But he's able to create an effect.
He is totally able to create an effect. He's the #1 person on Twitter, I think. He's got more followers.
Yeah.
It's him and Lady Gaga. They're always jockeying up and down and doing the whole thing. Filmmaking. Whose There was this trilogy of superhero movies. Can't remember them.
Christopher Nolan.
What was that?
Christopher Nolan.
Christopher Nolan. Who knows who Christopher Nolan is? Okay, not as many hands, I'm not surprised. Who knows who Batman is? Okay, who knows about the 3 most recent Batman movies? Okay, Christopher Nolan is the man who directed those films. He's considered one of the greatest directors in the history of anything ever. He went outside of the system and he created a film that I won't name because I don't want anybody Googling it because it's a pretty disturbing film actually on many levels. But it was this crazy film, and it was all told backwards. Nobody'd ever, people had like tried that, but nobody had ever been successful at it before. And people just loved this film, and so many people were going and seeing his film, and you've got to go see his film, you've got to go see this. It never even got into, it got into theaters, like 10 of them, and a few hundred people saw it, but like people started buying the DVD. Yeah.
Did it star Brad Pitt?
No, it
Not
was
that one.
no, it was Guy Pearce.
Yeah.
That.
Oh, I.
Yeah, exactly. That was his. That was his first film.
Yes.
And
He knows the movie.
what?
He knows it.
Yeah, there you go. If you've seen it, that's fine. I'm just saying it's not necessarily appropriate for everybody.
Great movie then.
Was it the one with the guy who had the memory loss?
Yes.
Mr. Wages did a seminar and using that one as well.
Really?
Good. You can say it.
Okay, it's Memento. I love that movie. It's so good. And then a movie studio was like, "Hi, so we want to give you all of the money in the world and have you direct these films." Like that's how it works right now. There's another filmmaker who he got together. This is going to sound like a lot of money, but let me tell you, it's really not. He got together $7,000 and he made a full feature film off of that. Sounds like a lot of money? Right, okay, so some people know how incredible that is. Like a normal feature film, like, okay, to make the Batman films, that was $160 million. So this guy makes a feature film 90 minutes long for $7,000, and then he put it on the internet, and you can go and give him $10 and you get it, the video file, and you can watch it on your iPad or your computer or your TV or however you can hook it up. From that $7,000 budget, he's made $250,000. And then he took $10,000 of that and made another film and made another $250,000. So he spent $17,000 and made $500,000. He's a guy named Shane Carruth. His films are, I didn't like it. It was way out there and weird. And
Sharknado?
No. Who knows what Sharknado is? Okay.
Wow. That's surprising.
It was the biggest thing that hit Twitter in like ever. Anyway, that is for the arts in particular. That is the world that we're living in. Oh, sorry. Okay, so the last one was for books. If anybody knows this, mad props. Who's heard of Hugh Howey?
Sort of. Okay. I've heard it a couple times.
You've heard the name, okay. Yeah, there you go. All right. He wrote a book and he put it out there, and he put it out there for. He was selling it for 99 cents.
Yeah, it's cheap.
And yeah, it's not a very long book. It's maybe that long, that section right there. Really more of a short story novella. It's probably like 10, 20,000 words. Guys, it's so good. It's so good. And he put it out there for 99 cents, and Amazon takes 70 cents of every sale. So he was only getting 30 cents per sale, and he made like $2 or $3 million off of his sales. And then Ridley Scott, who he's a film director and producer. He's done so many things. He came to him and he's like, I want to turn this into a movie. How much do I need to give you? And he was like, $1 million. Cool, here you go. Check. Boom. And now they're turning it into a movie. And it's like, it's a really good story, but like at the same time, that's kind of extreme. But that is what the world is like today. Yeah.
Sorry, I wanted to say, they're making a movie of that tiny book.
Well, he wrote a sequel and then another sequel, and he also made.
I think he extended that as well.
Right, and this gets into a little bit of like how our life works. But he wrote the first one; it became super popular. He wrote the second one, the third one. Then he made the first one free. You can just go get it for free, the online, digital download, whatever.
What's it called?
It's called Wool. Just wool,
Yeah.
like wool shirt. So now all these like millions of people are going and downloading the first one, and then it's really good. So then they go and buy the second and third one. So he never needs to work again in his life. He's set.
Now,
somebody had their yeah.
I just want to add to that. Wool, he self-published that. That's what we're doing. We don't go through a publisher.
Right.
We publish it ourselves, and because he's self-published and he made so much money off of it, he went to publishers, or publishers were coming to him and saying, "We want to buy your book so that we can publish it." And they were offering him 7 figures, which is $1 million plus.
Yeah.
Okay, and he was saying no, because he didn't need it.
Right.
He was like, I will do it on certain terms, but nobody has agreed to my terms. I'm just not going to do it.
Right.
Eventually, he found somebody that wanted to just distribute it so that they're going to put it out under their label, but they don't own it. But they're still giving him $1 million for it.
That's
So.
the thing is that you if you go this route and you go out there and you contact your audience directly, whatever it is you want to do with your music, people go the Justin Bieber route. With your books, people with the Hugh Howey. With your movies, I'll say a little bit harder. Music, you need a guitar and you need some method of recording it and a friend with drums and and whatever. Writing, you need a laptop. That's all you need. This was written mostly on a laptop. Filmmaking, you need a camera, you need some lights, you need some sound. But at the same time, there's people making films on their iPhones today.
Right.
They're pretty good. They're like 7-8 minute films. They're decent. They make me laugh, So, and they put them up on YouTube. That's the other thing. On YouTube, you go make a film. Let's say you make a 5-minute short film. Just you, some friends. You're just messing around. It's just like some laughs, whatever. You put it up on YouTube. You guys can do this right now with your parents' permission. And you say, hey, YouTube, you can advertise on my video if you want to. And if it's funny enough and enough people go and watch this, who knows what Gangnam Style is?
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so that thing has, does anybody know how many views? Billions? It's billions of views.
1.5 billion.
1.5 billion views. Every time, now this isn't when it starts, but basically every time he gets a view, he gets like 1.5 cents. So that's
A lot of money.
millions of dollars from, and it didn't cost him anything to put it on YouTube. Obviously, it cost him money to actually make the video, and that's where film is a little bit different. You guys can make films, put them up on YouTube right now, and start making money. It can totally happen right now, and if you do that, and 6 billion people come and watch your films, and then you go into a film studio, you can be like, hey, I've got a script, and I've got 1 million people who are guaranteed going to go watch it because I will say to my YouTube channel, go watch my film, and you bring that with you.
Right.
And so you can walk into a negotiation. We could walk into a negotiation on our book right now, and we could be like, hey, would you like to publish this professionally and distribute it and market it for us? And they're like, yes, but we want to own the rights to the film so that we can sell that if we want to. We want to own your foreign and international rights so that we can translate it into French and Japanese and Swahili, I don't know. And we want
Cover. They can change the cover. They can change the character.
We want to do everything. We want like absolute control of the book.
Yeah.
And here is, let's just say we're like really successful. Here's $250,000.
Right.
And we'd be like, nope, thanks. We're doing fine. We're doing great on our own. If you want to work with us and do what we say with our book, you will make money off of it, and we're cool with that. But we're not giving it to you. It's not yours. And if you can walk into the world with a position like that, if you artists go out there and you start a YouTube channel and you start putting up your music and you put up a song a week, 2 songs a week, whatever, and millions of teeny boppers around the world just like start subscribing to your channel. I'm not, no judgments on teeny boppers, but start subscribing to your channel, and then you walk into a record label and you're like, I've got millions of people who will listen to everything that I put out, and they'll go download it on iTunes. Then the record producer will say, awesome, how much money do you want? All of it? Here you go.
Now, also you have companies that are doing things nowadays that to help entrepreneurs like new artists. Tell them about the YouTube studios.
Oh,
Okay.
This one gets me really excited because I'm actually part of a filmmaking group that's going for that. So everybody knows how YouTube subscribers work.
Yeah. Yes.
Anybody? Just in case. You got a YouTube channel, somebody can go to the channel and then click subscribe. They'll get like an email and a notification every time you put a new video up. And it means that you know, if you have 1 million subscribers, then 1 million people are being told, hey, here's my video, and they go watch it, and then YouTube puts an ad in front of it, and then, you know, it's just the whole advertising money YouTube thing. So YouTube Studios now has a deal. They have built a film studio with a sound stage and all this equipment and editing bays and all this sort of stuff. They've built that in Hollywood. There's one coming out in New York. There's one in like San Francisco or wherever. You get 10,000 subscribers on your YouTube channel, you get to use it for free. You can go there, you can do whatever you want to, you can use all the equipment, shoot in the stage, on the sets, totally free.
They have the. Do you know what the? Has anybody heard of the camera, the Red?
Red camera?
It's how much does that cost?
$60,000.
Okay, $60,000 camera.
They got like 100 of them.
Yeah, it's what The Hobbit was shot on, the Epic Red.
Yeah.
They have those. You can just go and use them.
Yeah.
Like that's what you're able to do.
As long as you don't break them, right?
Well,
Yeah, I mean theoretically.
you don't go use them to break them.
Right. When you make films, you have to have insurance so that if something does break, the insurance pays for it.
How does that work? So you're like, you like, how do you talk to YouTube? Be like, hey, I have 10,000.
You go up to the studio and you're like, hey, this is my channel, blah, 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 here's my like login credentials and whatever, and they like verify that you are the owner of that channel, and then they're just like, here's your card, come in whenever you want to, let us know when you need a camera. It's that.
Only 10,000.
It's not 1 million, it's not 5 million, it's 10,000. Like 10,000 subscribers.
This is just starting.
Right. We've got like 80 subscribers, so 10,000 sounds like a lot to us. But the filmmaking group that we're now both a part of has 1,200. So we only need to 10x that number. So we're going to start making a lot of videos that we, you know, hopefully will be really good and we'll get people in. And then we've got our whole group able to just go do it wherever you want to. Now companies like YouTube and Amazon, who is it for writing? iTunes, a little bit behind the ball, honestly.
Yeah.
But for music, Kickstarter is a sort of an all-in-one.
Yeah, that's a different thing.
Huh? SoundCloud. All of these different companies are they're becoming what's called aggregators, and aggregators are the trillionaires of tomorrow. Because what they do is they're like, here, give us your thing, we'll sell it to people for you, and we'll take a small percentage or a large percentage, so the smart ones only take a small percentage, and we just send the rest of the money to you. And they handle all the distribution. See, back in the day, when you had a publishing house that would produce a book like this for you, they printed it, packaged it all up and together and everything, put it into boxes, drove it to the customer, or to the bookstore, and dropped it off. And there wasn't anybody else in the world who could do that. So if you wanted to publish your book, you had to go to these people. Nowadays, Amazon takes care of all of it. It cost us, it cost us $8 to produce
to print,
this book.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It costs us nothing for this. Nothing at all. We just give them the files, and I mean, we've spent a long time figuring out how to make it work. But they print it for us. Same thing with YouTube. It costs you nothing to put a video up on YouTube. Anybody put videos up on YouTube with any sort of, yeah, okay. Video game playthroughs probably. We used to do that. No?
Yeah.
We totally used to do that. Don't look them up.
Yeah, don't look them up.
If anybody keeps wondering why we keep telling people not to look things up, my other books are not written for children. That's it. And neither were our
Ninja
videos.
Bread Man.
Ninja Bread Man, yeah, that's true.
That was our first co-author book, Ninja Bread Man.
Which was very, very small. It was like 20,000 words, so it was like a third as small as this.
Yeah.
And
you can go read that. That's an awesome book.
It's totally awesome. Seriously though. Where'd I go before we started talking about Ninja Bread Man? Yes, aggregators. Okay, so these people, they have millions of people coming in and putting content up to them. 100 hours of video are put on YouTube every minute. I've been talking for 10 minutes. That means that 10,000 hours, solid hours of video have been put up on YouTube during that time by people around the world. And out of those 10,000 hours, maybe 2 of those hours will actually make a profit. But that's all that YouTube cares about, because those people, they are making money off of all these people. And I'm totally willing to let Amazon make money off of me, because I'm making money off of them too, and I'm writing. That's all I do. I just write, and I sit at home, and I put my books out there and people buy them and Amazon takes care of all of it. So I guess what I'm saying is if you want to be rich, become an aggregator. But if you want to become an artist, work for the aggregators. Like they make it so easy, and I don't care that they're making. Amazon made
A lot.
a lot. A lot. Amazon, I think, is like the second richest tech company after Google, who is, of course, will soon own the world. Yeah, exactly. Do you know that Google? Does anybody know what Google's corporate slogan is? Don't say it. Does anybody know what their company motto is?
I feel like I've heard it.
Don't be evil.
Don't be evil?
Yes. Because they're like, we are the richest people on the planet. They're far and away richest people on the planet. And it would be so easy to be evil, wouldn't it? It's like, I want to buy this country. All right, go in and just like take it over with guns and bombs. But that's their company motto. Don't be evil.
Quick side story on that.
Google not being evil? If you're about to tell about the space travel thing, I will.
Not.
Okay.
Google, when they were creating their main base in like Michigan or something, bought all this land, many acres, up in the wilderness, and they're gonna tear it down and make this huge, awesome, just building that they could run everything out of. But there was a tiny shack, one shack owned by an old man who had like a quarter of an acre right in the middle of where they wanted to build. And he would not sell. And they went up to them and they're like, okay, here's a piece of paper, write down a number. And he was like, $50 million. Like he did not want to sell. He's like, I'm gonna say $50 million. Here's a check, get out. That's what they did.
Yeah. And they have that amount of money.
They can throw $50 million is nothing to them.
Another funny story about the start of Google. When you start up a company, especially a tech company, it's very common that you pay your employees less than they should really be making, but they have what are called stock options, where they own stock in the company, so if the company blows up, they can sell them and make a whole ton of money. The company like chef, like they had a cafeteria in their first office building, and there was the person who was like flipping meatballs and like spooning out the mashed potatoes and stuff. That person, when Google blew up, from doing that for about 8 months or whatever, made $55 million off of their stock options, and just retired to an island wherever she wanted to. It was like, yeah. Anyway. None of that. Okay. Yeah,
Fun stories.
Also to add on to Google, recently they added to Japan's vending machines for apps. They have basically a vending machine for apps now.
Really? That's crazy. Oh, I had a business idea I want to talk to you about.
All right.
App vending machine. Just remember those words.
Okay.
Okay, good. All right. So this got a little bit rambly. As I said, I've never spoken before. Period. So the point is, whatever it is that you want to do, if you want to be an artist, man, in my opinion, like you still have to work really hard. We work really hard, but there has never been a better time in human history, and actually it will probably get harder from here on out. Like we're on this peak right now, because pretty soon everybody's going to realize that they can do it. 5-10 years, and it's already starting to happen.
Yeah. Even
10,000
even in the book industry, it's like there are changes that are like messing things up for us that we wish we had gotten into earlier.
Yeah. If we'd started this 5 years ago, we'd probably be millionaires, but we'd still come talk to you guys. This is cool. Right before that, I was saying. Right. Okay. So 10,000 books are published I forget if it's every day or every week, but 10,000 books are published every, let's say, week on Amazon. So it's like people are already realizing that they can do this and that everybody can. Now the thing is that the best people will always be, like if your book is terrible, nobody's going to buy it, so you're not going to make much money at it. But there has never been a better time to get out there and to start doing what you're doing in the arts. And if you don't have artistic aspirations, find your parallel in whatever your industry is. Find out what future people are going to be looking for, because like it's all very well and good to just study hard and do the best that you can at what it is that you're going to do, but that's so nebulous. It's just so like, oh, I'm going to live a good life. It's like, well, yeah, but what are you going to do? find out how you can break down what you need to do, and man, start now so that when you're 27, you're already a millionaire. That's totally what you should do.